Hello and welcome to American Football Bets. I'm your host Lewis, and today I'll be going over my picks for game week 5 of the NFL regular season. As always, please gamble responsibly. Link is in the description below. Please like and subscribe. It takes just 2 seconds of your time, 2 clicks of a button, and really makes a huge difference to the channel. We'll have weekly videos like this, so please subscribe and like for more content just like this. But without further ado, let's get into it. Firstly, just a very quick overview for my week 4 tips, and my nap of the week came in again for the 4th week in a row. Pretty good going now. That was with Quinton Johnson for the Chargers, rushing for over 51.5 yards, which, as we suspected last week, came in fairly easily in the end, with Johnson ending up rushing for 98 yards. The next best bet missed with the Raiders not performing well against the Bears, and our ACCA for the week missed by just one leg, with the Chargers failing to beat the Giants, which was probably the biggest surprise of the footballing week. So now with last week covered, let's look ahead to my NAP, my next best, and my accumulator for this week. Before we get into it, just a very quick reminder of how I've made my choices for this week's bets and the rationale. And obviously, when making these selections, you have to take into account the current roster, any injuries, and the season's performances so far. We're slowly getting more data from the season's set of games going now into Game Week 5, but I still also lean slightly into last year's performances too, particularly where the roster remains mostly unchanged for teams from last season, and especially where the team's performances through weeks 1 to 4 suggest the same strengths and weaknesses. Those are the teams to target, as predictions can tend to be more reliable, being able to look at a larger sample size and set of data. Then for those teams, I narrow down the fixtures I'm interested in betting on by looking at the teams that are playing each other, which have opposing strengths and weaknesses. So for example, are there any teams that are particularly good for rushing yards, playing teams that allow a lot of rushing yards? Are there any teams that are particularly good for passing yards, playing teams that give up a lot of passing yards, etc, etc. Now that's explained, let's jump ahead and look at this week's betting angles in more detail. So my NAP for week 5 of the regular season is going to target the Bills versus Patriots fixture. This is a perfect matchup for rushing yards for the Bills, and particularly James Cook at running back. So far this season, the Bills rushed the ball more than any other team in the league, averaging 163.5 rushing yards per game. James Cook takes the main load on that front, having not rushed for less than 108 yards, aside from 44 rushing yards in Game Week 1 against the Ravens. Although the Patriots have done generally quite well against the run game this year, last week facing the Panthers, who have a weaker run game than the Bills, the Patriots let up 129 rushing yards in total. And I think the Patriots may again let up rushing yards this week against the Bills, and for that reason, my nap of the week is James Cook to have more than 76.5 rushing yards against the Patriots at odds of around evens. My next best bet of the week turns to the Commanders game against the Chargers. The Chargers are coming off a shock loss to the Giants and will be out to prove a point against the Commanders this weekend. The Chargers rushed for 152 yards last week despite their loss against the Giants, clearly showing they're happy to rely on the run game even in games where there's a tight outcome. This matchup between the Chargers and Commanders will unlikely be a blowout game, so I can see the Chargers once again relying on the run game. The Commanders are a middling team this season at defending the run, allowing on average 107 rushing yards per game. The rookie running back for the Chargers, Omari Hampton, continues to see increasing responsibility in the team, having rushed for 128 yards last week, averaging 10.67 yards per carry. I think Hampton will once again be a centre focus in this matchup, and for that reason, I'll be placing a bet on Omari Hampton to rush for over 65.5 yards against the Commanders at odds around evens. Now for my Week 5 ACCA, and in addition to the 2 legs we've already mentioned, there is one more leg in this threefold ACCA that I'll be placing. The odds for this accumulator come out around 6 to 1 depending what bookies you choose to go with. So the final edition for this threefold looks at the Colts matchup against the Raiders, and specifically rushing yards for Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. Now the Colts are currently ranked 8th this season for the most average rushing yards per game at 136.3 rushing yards per game. Their opposition this week, the Raiders, have let up an average of 103 rushing yards per game, being a fairly middling team when you look at the rest of the data there. The over-under rushing yards line for Jonathan Taylor is 91.5 yards this week, and he has exceeded that in 2 of his 4 games this season already. The only 2 games in which he was under that, he rushed for a respectable 71 and 76 yards. I think this week we can expect to see Taylor being a cornerstone of the team's offense, and his line for rushing for over 91.5 yards is added to this threefold ACCA at odds of around 6 to 1, depending what bookies you choose to place a bet with this weekend. So that's it for today's picks. Thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. It takes just a moment of your time, helps this channel a ton. If you're going to be placing any of the bets I've mentioned, or if you have any other picks for this game week, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them. So as I mentioned, please like and subscribe for more content, and see you next time.